Welcome everybody, and Beyond the Buzz Part 2 for the AI sessions that we're doing. So I wanted to make this interactive, and I wanted to make it really practical. So I'm gonna go through, and we're gonna just try things live right here. So, I mean, I prepared a few slides, but the point is not to show you a slideshow. The point is to show you AI and what you can do, and hopefully walk away with a plan, right? With a bunch of ideas of things you can try. And then that's my big message, is just to experiment with it. It's a different way of thinking about it. We're moving from a search first mentality in the computer world. You know, our interaction with computers, and the very first thing you do is a Google search, right? Um, and we're moving from that to a instruction reality. So prompting, or so telling an AI what to do, much like you would tell or ask, maybe is a more polite word, an assistant or a friend, right? Um, and that's different. We've been taught in search to go for the shortest possible representation of the thing that you want and put that into the search bar and then evaluate the results. It's really, really different with AI. The shortest possible interpretation of what you want is actually the opposite of what you're looking for with AI. Somebody's just got a little bit of background noise. If we could just mute that, I think that'll help. Appreciate it. Sorry, thank you. And yeah, so if that's a really different paradigm. So, I mean, you would never type 5 paragraphs into a Google search, right? That's weird, and I'm not sure what would even happen, or if you could, right? I don't know. I've never tried that. But into an AI prompt, that's really actually what you want, is to give it lots and lots of context, and then there's really only a few. I was going to say a handful. There's more now, but sort of LLMs in the world. These things are very big and expensive to develop, but there's potentially, probably right now, millions of tools, and so all of those tools are based on those LLMs and the things they've learned. But in order to provide it context and to get the best possible answer, you really want to give it a lot of information about you. Now, whether you give it information in a settings of an agent, or whether you just do it all in one prompt. The other part of it is that it's iterative. So search was one and done. You put something in the box, you got the results, you looked at the results, and that was it. You get what you get. You might do a different search, but AI, and very much in the way of interacting with another human, there's a back and forth. It's a conversation. It's the person comes back with questions, and then you maybe answer those questions, or you figure it out together, or you evaluate the results, but then you go back and refine, right? Of course, there was a little bit of that with search, but it's much more like interacting with a human. So let's dive right into it. So I'm Leslie from Digital Fire. I run an IT company. At our core, we do IT support, technical support, and we do technology consulting. So we'll fix a laptop, help with the Wi-Fi, make sure you can print, but then also go into what kind of computer you should use and how you should use technology. And that's what this is about today: is technology and use in AI. So if you wanted to put some, so I'm looking at my other monitor, but I see some chat messages have been received, but yeah. So if anybody wants to put into the question and answer sort of use cases, so, and let's start with that, is actually just for people on the webinar now, can you put like a a 1 to 5 for me. And you can put it into the chat if you want. The Q&A and the chat are similar, except that the Q&A is actually for questions, and chat you can chat amongst yourselves. So put it into, say, the chat for now. A 1 to 5, 5 being you are an AI expert, you're using it every day for a ton of different stuff, and you're at a really high level, you'd say, with it. And 1 is you're just getting started or interested in it, and see some potential, but have lots to go. Okay, that's good. That gives me an idea. Most people are, yeah. So like some you've got some use of it, right? Not necessarily a sort of first time using it, although we do have a little bit of that too. So um, okay, that's good. So thank you, I appreciate that. And if you could, in the Q&A, what do you want to use AI for? And I'll see if I can work through those during the call. I'm not sure I can answer all of them. I don't want to promise that, but some sort of live back and forth. Where do you think the potential is in your company? And that's where I'm going to go through, because that's where these use cases, right? Like, where do you actually? Because we've all seen, like, okay, so low hanging fruit. You can use it to write your emails, right? You can use it to write a blog, and any sort of kind of text prediction writing you can use it for. Okay, that makes sense. But that's, we've all sort of started using it for that, and that's obvious. So let's go beyond that. And I'd also like to highlight a concept that is, I call it automate, innovate, humanate. And the first part of it is, it's like, what are you going to use AI for? Because this is hard. It's really hard to sit here and go, what am I going to use AI for? I don't know. What I do is actually just put it up on one of my tabs, right? I've got 2 monitors in front of me, and I just have it as one of my tabs, and it's there. And I don't sit here trying to think of processes I can automate. So I just go about my day using my computer, and then as stuff comes up, I go, well, let me throw that into ChatGPT or Gemini and see what happens. And sometimes it's a disaster. Other times it's not bad. Other times it's phenomenal, and it totally surprises me about how amazing it is. So give it a try, so that you're in the ecosystem, so that you're learning from it, and that you're using it. That's actually my most important message. Automate, innovate, humanate. So automate is, the first part of that is take what you have and make it better, faster, easier, right? What you're doing right now, make it better, faster, easier. Innovate is, I could use this to do something I've never done before. This new thing that was never possible before. Use it. Wow, all these new kinds of doors are open, and I wonder what I could do with this, right? So that's the innovation piece. The humanate piece, I realize that's not a real word. It just kind of fit. Is keep it human. Make sure that you're not just regurgitating what the AI said. It is pretty often that, people are learning how to use this, right? That people will get up and just sort of read the slides that were made by AI, right? You can see that. You can detect that. We're pretty good at that. You can mostly tell when something's been generated by AI. And as humans, we tend to have a negative reaction to that. And yeah, I mean, I've got some slides here, but AI is no longer optional, etc. I don't know if you've heard of this breaking rust. Has anyone ever heard of this? We'll play audio of that. Google this and you can watch this video. This went to number one on country Billboard charts. Has about I don't know 8 or 9 songs or something like that, and it's entirely AI. Um, and so people are having interesting reactions to this. Is how do we feel about the number one country music song? And this is the Billboard charts, and so it is very much U.S. But there's a little and uh, there was Spotify records that were broke, or there's details in there, but um, it's a number one song. People didn't know, right? So it just became a good song that people liked, and there was another one that went number two. So people like the song, right? So do you care suddenly? Do you like the song less because it's AI now, right? Um, so it's I'm not going to say one way or another. It depends how you feel about it, but it's an interesting thing to think about or talk about, these sort of ethical uh, implications of AI. Let me give you another one. Randy Travis, right? Unfortunately, had a stroke in 2013. Famous country singer, and couldn't sing anymore, unfortunately. But in early 2025, he put out some new songs with the help of others, and it was AI generated, right? Um, and he had a part in it, right? So now, how do you feel about that, right? And I realize that's different than the entirely AI song, but there's issues to wrestle with here. Do you know what I mean? Are we okay with Randy Travis using AI, and we're not okay with 100% AI? So what percentage of AI are we okay with? Because AI didn't create this itself, right? It didn't magically make a song. There's a person behind it. And that person's name is here somewhere. Sorry. Um, it's probably written here somewhere. I mean, you can look it up. It's like Aurelia or something like that. It was an interesting sounding name. But yeah, there's a person that created the song, right? So uh, where do we where do we land on that, and how do we feel about the creative part of that? Is they must have had some creative part of it, right? uh, I've been creating some videos of our own. Somebody just told me the world is changing quickly. AI is turning life upside down. So they say that in a decade, the only way. So this is interesting. We've been making some videos for Digital Fire, and it actually is me singing, and we'll be releasing that just for fun. But that's AI generated too. So there you go. Some fun, interesting use cases. But like, where does the rubber meet the road, right? So let me show you the first tool. I'll quickly check the questions. I'm kind of by myself right now, so I have to monitor both. I use AI to create an incredible writing tool that helps me modify books. Yeah, that sounds like Mike. Mike helps people write books, and he's created a pretty neat AI tool, right, to write business books, which is pretty neat. Uh, and about being human, that you're it's based on the interviews with people, right? So you've got a human connection there that you're maintaining. That is very, very important. It's not just AI slop. I don't know if you've heard that term, but people are saying that social media is now full of AI slop. And there is going to be this sudden value of human connection, right? Like if you think about, like, okay, so this Breaking Rust AI character. Well, what if half of the songs that we listen to on Spotify or wherever you get your music, Apple or the radio, what if half of those songs are AI generated? How do you feel about that? Right? How do you feel about a live concert with an AI performing? Is it Ed Sheeran and Taylor Swift? Is it, or your favorite artist, etc.? And how do you feel about an AI robot singing there, right? That's interesting. And again, I'm not going to come down on one side of the debate or the other, but it's these sort of ethical issues that we're going to be forced to deal with, and this is coming at us faster than any technology we've ever seen before. By the way, Google released Gemini 3 on Tuesday, so just a couple of days ago. Gemini 3, and by all accounts, it's blowing everything out of the water. Um, Lots of people have different opinions, uh, but there's sort of a ranking of AI models, and this one is beating everything by some significant measure, like 30% better or something like that. So it's Gemini 3. Gemini Pro is when it comes up. So that's interesting. Again, this stuff is going super, super fast. ChatGPT just came out with 5.1, and they added the company knowledge feature. And like this stuff is going really, really fast, faster than any technology we've ever seen. So, okay, what are you looking at on screen right now? This is gamma.app. If you need to make a presentation, then this is great. I'm a member of BNI. I'm currently one of the education coordinators, and I use this to make my quick sort of 5-minute presentation. So, look, I had some slides for today, but let's create one in real time, and you can see what it does. Right. So I can say I'm doing a presentation for Digital Fire, my company, digitalfire.ca, my IT company, on AI use cases. And here are some notes. Can you please make about 10 slides and organize the content nicely for me? And then I have my notes that I've done in my super rough notes about what I wanted to cover today. And then what do we want to do with this content? Generate notes from outline. Generate from notes or outline. There we go. And off we go. So we can leave that, and it will. So it's here. Okay. And then I get to pick some stuff. What kind of colors do I want? Okay, so I'll click this one. I want AI images, and I can pick whether I want photorealistic images or line art, 3D. Let's go with 3D and say, okay, generate, right? And I'm still using the free version of this. And when you use the free version, it will put the fact that it was made by Gamma in a little thing at the bottom right. So, let's see what it does. It's making the slides right now. And you can pay for the individual use of each tool. That is a thing, right? Suddenly you're using, as this goes on, you're going to use a tool for presentations. I'm going to show you a bunch of tools today. And so, if every one is, 20, 30, $50, then suddenly you're spending hundreds or, $1,000 a month on tools. And I'll tell you, I am right now, because I'm living this and experimenting with it, et cetera. So, but look at the quality of this stuff that's coming out. So I'd say it's pretty amazing. And it's done, right? So I can hit present, show you. I mean, I'm seeing this for the first time. But I'm not going to use this as my presentation, but you could see how, this is kind of cool. And you could, it looks pretty good. Sorry, I didn't go from the beginning. Use cases. Jevons paradox, etc. Yeah, so I'll go through these. Who cares about the actual content? I'm not going to use that for the presentation, but you can see that it's decent enough that I could work with this, right? I'm not sure I would, I haven't read it. Let me go read it and make sure that it didn't write something stupid, etc. But it's a pretty good start, I'd say. And then you can go in here and say, well, I don't like this, I don't like that. You can open agent, right? So you can say, can you add add my logo to the slide, right? And then I can upload DF logo. And that's uploading. And then I asked it to, so you can ask the AI, so you can make changes, sure, but you can ask the AI to go and make changes to it as well, make the content longer, shorter, different, etc. So pretty neat that you can do this, right? And look, there's right now there's all these tools. There's 800 ways to do this. I'm sure you've heard of Copilot, right? Like Copilot's in Microsoft, um, and it's embedded in there, and you can use it to do interesting things too. Compare this to Copilot. Look, it put my logo in there. Okay, but that's really small, right? You know, can you make the logo larger? um, yeah. So you get the point that you can play with it, right? And it's not perfect. Maybe I don't like the picture. I can get it to change it to a different one or a different style, etc. So gamma.app, I would say it's worth playing with. Let me also talk a little bit about the privacy stuff, because you got to be careful about where your data is going, right? Are you going to suddenly upload all of your financials to this random tool, gamma.app, and who do you trust with it? And you know, this is kind of public information, and so I don't mind sharing it with there. So this is the same kind of decision you've had to make with all of your apps. It's not any different with AI. Do you use Slack? Do you use a VoIP phone system that is recording your calls? I'm using Zoho webinar application right now. This is being recorded right now. We use Google Workspace. We also use Office 365. I'm sure people on this call are on one of those two platforms probably, or maybe you're even using Zoho CRM or HubSpot. Like, you're currently sharing data with all these companies anyways, right? So, and we're in the wild, wild west of AI right now. People are very early in it. There's not like, how many phone companies are there for cell phones to buy a cell phone? Microsoft used to make phones. BlackBerry used to make phones. We're down to just a handful, right? Samsung, Google, iPhone, obviously Apple. But there's not 40 manufacturers around the world. Well, if you try and count the Asian ones, but like, the market has shrunk. There's not 2,000 phone manufacturers there, and I'm sure there will be a shrinking of the lead. The leading providers will win at some point, but right now there's a ton of people. So the privacy thing is, who do you trust? So my message on that is, it's a case by case basis, and you got to be very careful, right? So if your data is already in Microsoft, I would lean heavily towards Copilot because of the trust stuff, and your data is already in Microsoft. Your data is already in Google. I would lean heavily towards Gemini, right? ChatGPT is independent of those, but they're the leader. They were the first mover. Do we trust ChatGPT? Along those lines, when you go into ChatGPT, even if you're paying for it, so the free version, they're learning on your data for sure. When you're paying for it, this is ChatGPT and 5.1. There's a little slider. It's in settings somewhere. I actually don't remember where it is, but there's a little setting that says "help me" to help us improve the product. Sorry. There's I don't remember where it is, but it's in here somewhere. Help us improve the product. In fact, I'm on the Teams version, so I may not have it. But in the free version and in the Plus version, even the paid version, it still does learn on your data. We have the Teams version, which is when you have one account, you buy it for multiple people in the team. We actually have it for everybody on our team because of the productivity gains. And ChatGPT and Gemini, they're general tools. So we started with Gamma with the presentation stuff. That's pretty interesting. Obviously, you've probably heard of ChatGPT and have tried it. Stuff inside ChatGPT, I would say to look at is, so this is new, company knowledge. So you can click company knowledge here, and you can, again, privacy, connect it to your stuff. So you can connect it to various things. Like I currently have it connected to my Gmail and my Google Calendar and Google Drive. You can also connect it to um, Outlook and OneDrive and other, Slack, Teams, SharePoint, where your files are. So that means that you can now ask it questions about your data. You can ask it to interact with emails, go find you an email or make an email or potentially book an appointment, that sort of stuff. So that's expanded the usefulness of what it can do. So experiment with that. But again, are you going to cross that privacy bridge where you say, I'm giving it access to my stuff? And how do you feel about that? Right. And I'm not going to sit here so I would say make sure that you've told it not to learn on your data. So help us improve the product. Right. And in the Teams version, it's off by default. And so it's off for me. But even in the paid version, it does actually learn on your data unless you, change that slider to not help them improve the product. So, you we lots of us use Facebook, lots of us use Gmail, and I think it's not like, how are those services free, right? There's no such thing as a free lunch. Those services are free because they're monetizing our data, right? So the fact that you like this or that, you click this or that, or whatever behaviors are being used and sold, and advertising revenue, that sort of thing. So we're being tracked, and our data is being sold, and that's how we get a free service, right? And so, is that bad? Good, bad? I think you should be aware of what's going on, right? So that's what I'm saying with privacy stuff is like, when just be careful or knowingly do it, right? Instead of blindly doing it. So company knowledge. Another thing I'll show you is you can click the little plus here, and there's different modes here. Deep research, for example. So that gives you a longer, better answer. So if you, for example, I was working with it this morning to diagnose what I thought was a difficult medical issue for a family member, and I wanted the best possible answer. And so I used the Deep Research Pro mode to get hopefully a better answer. I also did two different AIs. I used this one, and I also used Gemini to be able to compare the answers. So if they both come up with similar answers, I feel better about that. So that's interesting to be able to use multiple ones. They also have this agent mode. So agent mode is like it's to do things rather than just to research. So agent mode can, in our last webinar, and it screwed up a little bit, but it was my fault. I got it to order food for the office. So you could do that. You could say, do we have any use cases? Let me pull this up again. Does anybody have any? To me, AI is like a laser scalpel. If you bring enormous competency and experience, it's fantastic. If you've ever read an AI's book, it's terrible. So I think that's very well said. Image creation, certainly. So you can ask it to make an image. Give me a specific case of an image that you'd like to have it create, right? We can try it. Tim's talking about Milli Vanilli and the fake artist. So maybe we can resurrect Elvis. Somebody will do that. I'm sure they have already. Agent, repetitive tasks. Think of things that you do on a regular basis. And it's a level of trust. I would start with something small. So I got it to order food for the office, and it popped up and it wanted my credit card for the DoorDash or the Skip the Dishes account. And in the last webinar, I had trouble entering that. But afterwards, I figured out my phone and password and stuff that I just couldn't do live. And then the food actually did arrive, and people at the office had food and ate, and it was entirely ordered by AI. So give that a try. It says little plus. You go agent. Um, yeah, I can also create an image here. Create a yellow paintbrush that has a sign saying, okay, let's do it. So, and we can also do that. It's doing the image right now. I'll pop over to Gemini, um, and I'll ask it to do the Nano Banana Pro. Cool. So this is, yeah. Yeah, well, we can use the fast one for that. So this is, we can generating image with Nano Banana Pro. Uh, yeah, Google has cool names for their different AIs. So let's see if ChatGPT finished, and if we have anything, not yet. So Gemini is going to. So yeah, if people have, what are the criteria for ranking? Is their accuracy, the criteria for ranking the AIs? Um, this is the one Gemini came up with. Yellow paintbrush with free paint. That's kind of cool. It's like it understood and gave us something useful. This one's still going. So you can imagine if you want a particular image of a concept for your PowerPoint or something like that. Can you give me an image to illustrate Jevons? I'll explain this in a second. Docs as it might relate to the adoption of AI. Oops. We'll see what it comes up with. So there's ChatGPT's version, right? Which do I like better? Yeah. Jevons paradox is, we've heard so much negativity about AI is going to take over the world. It's going to be the end of humanity. We're all going to lose our jobs. The economy is going to go, terribly, etc. This one I heard from one of the people that is that works at Y Combinator, or is associated with Y Combinator, and I liked it because it's a positive. So to me, it's logical. Jevons paradox is this concept that says when the price or access to a resource becomes easier, so that the cost of a resource goes down, that there is greater demand and greater consumption for that resource. So think of when flights first came out in the 60s. It was for the elite, the super rich. Only those who could afford to fly would fly. As the cost of flying came down, it's normal for every single one of us to take a flight, right? And so you could imagine a situation where, let's say, for argument's sake, and that same kind of thing was true for cars. It was true for, you know, technologies over and over and over again. And so the idea that, so imagine, let's say, for example, a lawyer and a will is $1,000, and that will, a certain number of people buy that, and you could say that, well, the AI is going to make it so that that lawyer can do that a whole lot more. So the first movers on AI, that lawyer will still charge $1,000 and will do that same automation, automate, innovate, humanate. It will do that same will for 200. The cost will be, I don't know what the lawyer's cost is in $1,000, but the cost will go way down, and the lawyer will just make more money. So the first movers will just make more money. But eventually, market pressure will say, well, the cost of that will come down. So let's say the cost of the will comes way down to $250, and now the lawyer, because every other lawyer has access to the same technology, the lawyer can really only charge $250 for the will. So you're saying, okay, well, that means that that lawyer's business is one quarter the size of what it was before. But um, Jevons paradox say that there's a whole lot of people who never got a will before because $1,000 was too much. They weren't. Wasn't going to be worth it for them. But at $250, now they'll get a will. So there's a whole lot more people. The market gets bigger. There's more demand because now more people can access this tool. And so I really like that argument. I think I'm searching for something. I'm desperately wanting some sort of positive, like obviously there's lots of positives and all these cool things, but in terms of the sort of existential, what's AI going to do to society, right? There's a whole lot of negativity about all the terrible things it can do. And that one is that imagine if everyone had access to the best medical care, right? Imagine if we could cure cancer. Imagine if all these sorts of things can have the potential to do amazing things and just make the world an incredible place to be. Yeah, there's so yeah. If you want to put more use cases in there, go for it. I will start to. I'll show some more things. Okay, so have you seen Notebook? So I went and put the. Let me see if I can. Yeah. So okay, it's notebooklm.google.com. So you can try this if you've got a Gmail account. It's free. We're on Google Workspace, so we get the paid version of Notebook LM, and the difference is that you get more sources. So Notebook LM can be the use case for this is awesome. I put the budget in here. So budget's 490 page document. I put it in here. Notebook LM is really good for analyzing complex documents or analyzing a lot of different documents. So I put the budget in here, and then who's on the chat that here? I'm gonna pick Steve. What's in this budget for an insurance broker? Why did I can't spell insurance? That makes their business better or more competitive. Right, so let's see what it says. So you can take. How many of us get a look at previous quotes, maybe, or get a file from, we come in halfway through a project and a whole bunch of emails have gone back and forth, and there's maybe documents that have been signed, a contract, a lease. What I would do is for the projects that I'm working on is make a notebook. And especially if you're collaborating with multiple people, stick all of the information that you have, all of the emails, all of the, whatever you have, text messages, pictures, etc. Stick all that into a notebook. And now you can ask it stuff. You can ask it to make you a timeline. You can ask it to make you a mind map. So it says there's enhanced tax incentives for investment and productivity. There's a super deduction for businesses, including insurance brokers. Okay, and what's the difference between sticking this into ChatGPT? You could do this inside ChatGPT, and you could do it inside the regular Gemini. This is using Gemini in the background. But the difference here is that the hallucinations, so the stuff it's going to make up, are way, way less because it's not going to the internet for your sources to get the information. I gave it this PDF, and it's going to that PDF. And so here is a little bibliography where it's telling me in the document what it actually said. And I can reference the actual document. So all of the things that it tells me, it's not making up, it's sourcing. Okay, look here, this is where it is in the actual document. So I can go and verify this. I was going through with one of our clients who's a vet. And they got a transfer of a dog from another vet with 10 years of medical history. It was hundreds of pages of clinical notes of medications and surgery that the dog had, allergies, all sorts of things like that. And, again, the whole privacy thing, in their particular case, they're on Workspace, right? So they're using Google Drive. You're already trusting Google. That is where the business data exists already. So this is just using that, right? So there's not it's not any different than this data that's in your email right now, in their particular case, right? If you're going to take company data and move it to personal Gmail account, there's a bridge you're crossing there. Know that you're crossing that bridge, right? So do so knowingly and at your own peril, and decide if that's for you or not. Okay. So that aside, you put the patient data in here, and suddenly you can ask it if the dog is up to date with its vaccinations. Is the dog allergic to such and such food, right? You could also get it to go back and forth with you and help diagnose what's going on. The dog is currently sick. What do you think might be the issue, right? And it can go back and forth with the vet. Now, the vet probably has a decent idea, but the vet might want to look through whether the dog was up to date on vaccinations. Would take probably, I don't know, 10 minutes of going through and figuring out where it is and find it. The AI was able to surface it right away, and it referenced it, right? So that you can go, okay, here's, bullet point or bibliography number 16. This is where it is. And then I can click into it and go find it and triple check, right? I can do a mind map of this thing. So this is the mind map it made. So it breaks down, like, this is a 490-page document. It breaks down the sections, and I go, okay, let me explore that section. Supercharging growth and productivity. What's that? Oh, interesting. Talent, innovation, and competition and market efficiency. What's this super deduction thing about? Oh, look, it's got these three things. Immediate expensing. What is that? So I can click on it, and then now it does a search, and it brings up in the document exactly what it's talking about, right? So I'm now visualizing the data. Pretty darn cool, right? It's got an audio overview. So I can jump in the car, take this on my phone, because you just go to the Notebook LM app or do this on your phone, and you can't hear the audio, but I'll go here and you can hit play. And it's a 13-minute podcast of two AI voices discussing the budget, right? And so I can get an audio overview of what's going on. The video overview, if you click it, it will do it. It failed, so you can try a new one. But yeah, you just have to click that, and then it'll go through and make it. So it's doing the video one. So it's got these flashcards. So my kids are using this a lot for. My daughter had an English test today, and she's using her own version of it too. So she takes the teacher's slides and puts them in here, and then it really, because people learn in different ways, right? It has an audio, it has a video portion, and it really makes the content come alive. And she was sharing it with the rest of her class, sort of thing, right? AI in education is a really big deal right now. It's changing the way education is being done, and there's a whole lot of issues around. Well, you could just get ChatGPT to do your assignment, right? People have always been able to cheat. It's the same argument with a calculator, right? Have calculators made us, stupid? It has. Some people, yeah, right? Like, if you were going to cheat, you're going to cheat, and there's lots of people who, you ask them to add two numbers together and they can't do it without a calculator. And so, but you could also make a pretty good argument that calculators let us do more advanced math, and there's a lot of smart people who still use calculators, and it didn't make them dumb. It's people who are the problem, right? So if you're going to use AI to cheat, then you're shooting yourself in your foot and not learning anything. So don't do that. and obviously we have to police that, et cetera. But it's a really interesting tool and pretty amazing for education. So if you want to experiment with some more, so I would for Notebook, I think we've just scratched the surface on it. There's not enough time to go through it. There's so much. I would create a notebook for every single project you do and put stuff in it, and you can share it with people. And the people who come in halfway through the project can ask it what's going on and be up to date really quickly, and understand the timeline. You could use this for literally every industry, like a real estate contract or negotiating a lease. I used it for a customer's insurance application. When a customer's insurance application was renewing, I put it in there, and I said, well, can you find some interesting, because it's the same as last year, right? I would have just sort of glazed over it and said, yeah, it's the same, no problem, looks good, and right, because people email me their insurance application to um, to sort of look over it and make sure it's okay. And I do, but they're long, complicated documents, and to me, it looked fine. I threw it in here to just, you know, I wasn't expecting much. And it surfaced the fact that there's a new discount this year that if you have MDR installed, which we do for this customer, that you could potentially get a 10% discount on the insurance. And I had missed that because it wasn't there last year. And so now we're exploring that with the insurance company and say, hey, look, we do have this installed, and you know, we could potentially get a 10% discount, right? That's going back and forth. I don't have a verdict on whether we've actually gotten a 10% discount, but I missed that in the document, and it surfaced it for me. And so I thought that was pretty cool. Let me show you Copilot. If you haven't used it, it's literally just copilot.microsoft.com. So if you've got a 365 account, you already have this. So you can go to copilot.microsoft.com, right? And on the privacy side, this is, you know, you've got your data in there, right? I would do this, try GPT-5. Copilot is using OpenAI in the background. So this is going to be very similar to ChatGPT. They usually don't do the tools and as quickly, right? So ChatGPT will release it first, then it'll come here afterwards. Copilot has a different payment system where if you're on 365, you get this version of Copilot and it's included for everyone. But if you want it embedded inside Outlook and you want more features, then you can pay for it. And it ends up being about $40 a month Canadian. And that cost is about the same as ChatGPT, right? So, you know, which one should you do? Well, yeah, that is certainly a question. Let me show you another one. We have this other one called Hats, which is interesting. And I'm not here to sell you anything, but this is one where there's multiple models, right? So it's just like ChatGPT, and it's the same cost. And this is one that they only sell through channel, so I would have to sell it to you, et cetera. But go into here and you select the model, so you can have one interface, pay one subscription, and get all of the models. GPT, Gemini, and 3 just came out a couple of days ago, and it's already in there. I mean, Amazon models, Claude, Grok, all of them are in here. Llama, even DeepSeek, which is Chinese. This is private. It's running in the US. It's not Canadian. It's running a US data center. It's most of the models, except for 2, the large language models, you can download and run them yourself. So you could, if you wanted to, and you had the inclination, you could download them and run them on your computer. It's just that you don't have GPUs probably to run them on. So they're not going to, you know, some of them will run fine on a computer. Others need a significant amount of horsepower. So, you know, these people run it in a data center, and it's running not so it's running in a private place. So it's not going to learn on your data, and your data is not exposed. It's just in that data center, except for 2 of them, which OpenAI, with its newest model, despite the fact that they're called OpenAI, doesn't really download, right? So there's 2 of them that it will send the data back and forth. It's still private because it's still using the paid version. They're not learning on it, but it, in order to use GPT 5.1, it must go there. So, but this is an interesting one where you can literally pick whatever model you want, Grok, et cetera. So you can really compare which ones you like, and you know, you start getting into some details. For the average person, just use whatever you want. They're all really, really good, but there are certain nuances, and you know, the race happens every day and changes every day about who does what. Okay, so let's get into some other things. So Google has a bunch of labs. I would experiment with the labs. So yeah, there's so much to show you. So it's labs.google. So scroll through these and see. This one is an AI-powered brand bot. So you go in here, and you know, we're getting close to 1 o'clock, so I want to show you some more stuff. So I won't go as much into detail, but this is a marketing tool. So you go in here, it'll ask you about your brand, your company, and then it becomes something that you can bounce ideas off of, right? So now it's writing blogs for you, it's writing social media posts, but it's trained on the best marketing sort of philosophies out there. Is it story brand? Is it duct tape marketing? Is it that sort of thing? So and this is free. You can use this today. Um, so pretty cool stuff. Uh, Mixboard. This is idea generation. You're redoing your kitchen. You're doing a design. You want to do some creativity, right? Upload some pictures, connect them, discuss, kind of like a vision board, maybe ideas, color schemes, that sort of thing. You, uh, a lot of people have a Pinterest sort of board that they look at for pictures and inspiration and that kind of thing, right? So, yeah, you can use this for sort of free form design. Opal. This is an app writer. Okay, so there's a video. There's like a 6-minute video when you go in here on how to use it. This is the innovate piece. This is like, would you become an app developer? Like, just I'm a tech guy, but I'm not a programmer. So this allows me to be a programmer. And because you can interact with it, there's a 6-minute video you can watch on here, and it's pretty amazing. So you can, you know, you can start to expand your mind on the things that you would do. Okay, I'll give you an example. There's another competitor. So this is free from Google, right? Google's got a lot of money and they've got a huge ecosystem and they're releasing a ton of stuff for free. I said earlier, there's no such thing as a free lunch. That's true. They're going to monetize this and they're going to, but they have a lot of money right now to, so they're giving away a lot of stuff for free so that they can be ahead in the AI race because search is changing. Eventually search is going to be gone. And so the entire existence of Google is technically at risk. So they have every motivation to go. I'll show you this. This is an app. So this is using Lovable. This is a different platform, just like Opal, but basically it's a tech. You tell it what you want to make, and it makes it. So you can make a website. You can make a website with a login, with a membership thing. You can. So I had this use case where we're looking at 24/7. I had this idea of, well, what if it turns out Perth, Australia is 12 hours ahead of us. And then there's South Africa as well. If I found a company sort of similar to us in South Africa and in Australia, and we could work together, and their after hours is my regular hours and vice versa. So I could take their 24/7, a call at 3 a.m. and they could take a call from me at 3 a.m. if I needed. But it turns out that it's a little bit more complicated because you got to account for daylight savings time. And do people really want to work at 7 a.m. on a Saturday? And let's figure out the overlap. Now we started doing this in Excel, but it was a little bit more complicated. So now because I would have never made an app for this before, but it was an idea. And so okay, here's my start time and my end time on a weekday and a weekend, and I can overlap them and see. Hang on, look, at this time we have no coverage. So let me change this slider, and you can see I'll try to get on the screen. You can see down here as I change the slider, it's telling me I have no coverage or I do have coverage, right? So I can play with these sliders and see who's, but then, I wanted to give it to them. And then could they save their configuration? So we added, and again, none of this was programming. It was just we just told it what to do. Like we asked in the chat what to do. The same way I was using Gamma earlier to change the slides. That's all it was, right? So you can do this. This is using lovable.app. You can also use Opal to do it because Google just released this Opal thing. So let's keep going for the interest of time. Learn your way. This is still in beta. If you go to try it, you can't upload your own, but this is for education. So they will, I signed up for the waitlist too, but you can go in here and start learning about stuff. So if your kids are doing units on various subjects, there's an interesting resource here on sort of chemistry and undergrad level chemistry, and it starts to teach in interesting ways, and you can just explore it. It's worth looking at for sure. Doppel, this one's interesting. It was so you upload a picture of yourself, which I haven't done, but you can see yourself in various different outfits, so that's kind of cool and fun. So you can and there's a phone app for it, obviously. So you upload your photo and then you can see yourself in different outfits. So lots of interesting, cool stuff. I showed you Mixboard earlier. like inspiration on if I'm designing a new living room or something like that, then you can uh, look at that. So yeah, so we've got a couple of minutes. I've got Tavis. Tavis, I created an AI version of myself, um, and there was some sentences to read, and I can join the conversation. And I don't know if it's going to work because it's going to want to use my camera and stuff. I don't know if it's going to. So I can have a conversation with this AI. Hello, hello. So you probably can't hear what that says, but I programmed it to be an IT strategy, IT person, and you can have a conversation with it about your IT strategy. So it took some videos of me. It was really only a couple of minutes. Then it took 4 or 5 hours to process, and then I had a digital twin of myself that I could then train. Pretty interesting stuff. There's another one called Delphi, and I have a tab here somewhere with Delphi. Um, Delphi.ai. Go to it here. You can. So there's an interesting use case where you could take your knowledge, right? So we're recording this. A lot of people are recording their meetings. By the way, if you want to check out something, there's called Plod AI. This is an AI note taker, except it's a physical one. You can take this doohickey and attach it to the back of your phone, and it will take notes on all of your conversations. Or it doesn't have to be on your phone, whatever. But I know some people who have it on the back of their phone because they always have their phone on them. You stick this on the back of your phone, and it generates AI notes of all of your meetings, all of your client meetings, who promised what did you say, what pricing you gave them. Pretty interesting stuff. So you could take meeting notes of advice you've given to clients or conversations you've had, that kind of thing, and maybe some documents you have, some SOPs, stick them into here, make a digital twin for yourself. And then suddenly your staff has someone that they can access basic questions, right? So there's all kinds of stuff that comes up here about like, well, I'm going to put this over to clients, and is it liability? Is it so? I don't know any of that. We got to figure it out. But pretty interesting to be able to. What if someone's retiring, right? We used to do exit interviews. Someone's leaving the company. They're walking out the door with a whole bunch of knowledge, right? Could you use this as like a exit interview on steroids and try to capture their knowledge, have them just talk for a while, right? You have a conversation with them, or maybe they're leaving, so you're recording their conversations all along, and you can go in here and make a digital twin, and for what it is, the pricing's not bad, right? So lots and lots of interesting tools, and so kind of there's a bunch we didn't go over. Voice is a whole other part. So and one thing I'll just quickly show you is Lindy. So this stuff is really, really powerful. This is where you can make custom agents to do things. So I was working on this one. My agents, can I edit this one? That's to actually run it, Flow Editor. So this agent can, based on a new row added to a Google Sheet, but there's tons of connectors, or you can email it. It will go, and it's a lead outreacher. But Lindy is it's this connector, so you can see this workflow stuff. The thing is, I didn't build any of this. You can do it manually, but you just ask the AI to do it. Like I just asked it to connect to Zoho CRM, and it did. And so all I have to do is click this, and I don't want to click it because I'm running Zoho to do this recording, but and then it'll authorize Zoho. Again, do you trust it? There's a conversation there, right? But I didn't program any of this. You don't need to be a programmer. Like, this is complicated, right? I don't even understand most of this. I mean, you can follow it, but like, just tell the thing what you want it to do, right? So there's like a meeting booker template, right? Or you can do it from scratch. But this is like, you come up with an idea and then tell it what you want it to do, and it will go through these things and connect them. And it can go through your email and it's compatible with all the different email services or files, or go through these files and, you know, extract email addresses, or does this person's email exist? So go find it. So here's the person's name, but I don't have their email address, or I don't have their actual address. Whatever you can think of, you can get this thing to do, and you don't have to program a thing. You just have to tell it what you want, and it will program it. Pretty amazing stuff. There's another one. There's a bunch of these types of things, but Gumloop is another one. I would say this one's a little bit more easier to use than Gumloop, but Gumloop is also very, very powerful. I've got it, Gumloop here, where you can do these same kinds of things, return to hub. So I've got same sorts of agents and flows here. You could experiment with this. There's lots of, I'll show you the, just to get in there. And it's the same kind of thing where you can say, what it does. It's like this step, and then if it, the conditions and etc. But again, there's an AI agent. You just ask the AI agent what you want, and it makes it and does it. And we're after 1 o'clock. I'm sorry, I get into this stuff. I love it. It's pretty amazing what we can do. So if there's any lasting questions or something, I can try to answer them. We'll leave it at that for 1 o'clock. If you do want to stay for a couple of minutes, I don't mind answering questions. So you could take an email and ask it to break it down into more concise notes and versus multiple threads. You certainly do that. Copy and paste an email into there, ask it to summarize, ask it to, and there's a whole bunch of overlap, right? You could use Notebook, you could use ChatGPT, you could use Copilot to do that. I'm excited about using Notebook because I did know about it, but I kind of just recently just rediscovered it and sort of thought about the potential of it, of having it, a notebook for every project, and you can stick everything in there. We didn't talk too much about voice. There's a whole bunch of voice AI. We have voice stuff, meaning if you call Digital Fire right now and you push one is for support, but 2 is for sales, we have this thing. And I literally go in here and okay, now I can't log in. I don't know why I can't log in. Failed to log in. Okay, I don't know. I gotta figure it out. But in here, you literally, I barely did any programming on it. Meaning like prompting. Like it asks like, what's your company? What's your name? What you want the voice thing to do? It's like 2 or 3 questions, and you hit go, and it goes and researches your company and figures out. So it knew that I was an IT company. It knew that I wanted to have it answer the sales calls. And then it just gives you a phone number. And you call the phone number and it says, "Hi, I'm Digital Fire's AI assistant. How can I help you?" Right? And now you can get it to you. It has a calendar connector, so you can get to book appointments for you. You can, right? The human part of that is that I would say there's a certain amount of the people that are going to just want to talk to people. So give them an option to talk to a person. There's a certain amount of people, though, that just, if the AI is good enough and they want to be efficient, then they don't want to, like, that's why chat. I mean, how many of us have used support chat, right? To talk to Bell or Rogers or that sort of thing, or a support chat. Like, that's the most efficient way sometimes. I don't actually want to talk to a person. I just want to get done what I need to get done. So I'll use the chat thing. But then I would like an option to, if the chat doesn't solve it, to, if I'm not getting what I need, I would like an option to talk to a person, right? So then have it out. But there's a role for AI to augment your services. So for me, I wasn't, I didn't have time to answer the sales. Most of our people are in operations and a huge sales team. So it's me, and I wasn't answering sales calls. Those calls are going to voicemail. So AI agent, whatever it is going to be better than voicemail. So I'm improving my service with it, and there's an option to talk to a person if you need to. So automate, innovate, humanate. That's my message with this stuff. So I'll end it there. Hopefully this has been useful, and have a wonderful day, everyone. Take care, and go try AI, and be careful about the privacy stuff, but experiment, have an open mind, and hopefully you can try some of these tools and then get back to us about all the cool things you've done. So, all right, have a good day, everybody. Thanks. Take care. Bye.